A lot has to be done, and we will do it. We're working live, and there are some technical issues. Earlier, we saw a video question from Sergei Zenin. Well, I would like to speak to a colleague from Turkey. Let's listen to the question, and then we'll turn to the military correspondent. A lot has to be done, and we will do it. We're working live, and there are also girls around the military correspondent. Nadulo Agency. Mr. President, the results of the attacks of Israel in the Gaza Strip. Every 6-7 minutes, one child is dying. 8,000 Palestinian children have died, and 6,000 women. Unfortunately, the UN and the biggest countries of the world cannot stop these attacks. What do you think? Has the UN lost its function? And because of this situation, is Palestine still existing? And is Turkey and Russia doing anything to preserve the peace, to establish the peace in the region? And what Moscow and Ankara are planning in the sphere of regional questions? Are you planning to visit Turkey in the nearest future? Thank you. Well, first of all, I see what is happening in the Gaza Strip. That is just my evaluations. I agree with what has been said. I would like to say that President Erdogan plays a leading role in this, in restoring the situation in Gaza Strip. He is one of the leaders of the international community who pay attention to this tragedy and do everything to change the situation for the better, to create conditions for long-term peace. And this is obvious. And he's very active on this track. And I wish him all the best. Everything that is happening is a catastrophe. There is also a situation related to the Ukrainian crisis. But you and everyone here, everyone in the world, let's see what is happening in the special military operation and in Gaza Strip, and everyone can see the difference. Nothing like that is happening in Ukraine, if we compare it to Gaza Strip. There are thousands of women and children. The Secretary General of the UN said that today Gaza Strip is the biggest cemetery of children in the world. And this evaluation means a lot. This is an objective evaluation. As for the role of the UN, there is nothing unusual in this. I have been speaking about this during Cold War. Different states were blocking some decisions that were promoted by other states. But initially, the UN was created to find consensus. If it is not found, then the decisions cannot be made. Nothing unusual is happening in the life of the UN. It was always like that, especially for taking Cold War. The Mr. Gromyko, foreign minister, he was called Mr. No because Soviet Union was always using his veto right. Well, if if the countries think that some actions are hostile, and then they will not be taken, and this is important to have such mechanisms because then the UN will only be used as a platform to talk. After the First World War, for instance, this happened. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to find consensus. Like Turkey, we think that we should implement the UN decisions about the creation of the Palestine state with the capital in the eastern Jerusalem. We need to create fundamental basis for the Israeli-Palestine settlement. As for the plans, we stay in constant contact with President Erdogan, and we have very similar positions. I think that we'll meet with him. I plan to do that. I was planning to do that. It's not a secret. President Erdogan didn't have time because of his schedule. Well, I'm ready to go to Turkey, and I informed him about that. But, well, he couldn't do this because of his schedule. It was not my fault. Maybe in the beginning of the next year, we'll have a visit. As for our efforts, you know that in 2 Arab countries, we have consultations in Saudi Arabia, in United Arab Emirates. First of all, we need to preserve people. We need to protect people in Gaza Strip. We are always in contact on that. We need to provide massive humanitarian support to people. When we were in the United Arab Emirates, I was there. We knew that Emirates created in Gaza Strip, not in Gaza Strip, but near it, near the border, they created a hospital there, a field hospital. So maybe it's possible that Russia could open its own field hospital there at the stadium. For that, we need the permission of Egypt and Israel. I have spoken to the President of Egypt. He's in favor of that, supports this idea. I have spoken to the Prime Minister Netanyahu. We had consultations on that with special forces, and Israel thinks that Russian hospital will be in danger in Gaza Strip. But it doesn't mean that we will stop these efforts. Maybe today it's dangerous and Israel will not support it. However, we have some agreements with Israel, and they asked us about that. They asked us to provide more medical equipment and medicine. We will do that without any doubt. With all the countries, we stay in contact and we will continue to work actively with them. Let's